I am Jill Baird, and today we have a pretty traditional Vinyasa flow yoga class that we're going to do in under 30 minutes. You will need a mat, some space to move around in all directions around your mat, and I always like to have a couple of blocks handy. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. You can use books or dumbbells standing on end, but not necessary. We are going to get started on our backs, so go ahead and lower down to your back. You're going to walk your feet towards the wider edges of your mat and come into a broken bridge as you let your knees fall in against each other and support each other that way. You can bring left hand to your heart, right hand to your belly, your arms long down by your side. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep inhale, fill up completely, and then open mouth, exhale, empty out. Using these first few moments of class to connect to our breath. Again, a deeper, fuller inhale, filling up completely. And a powerful open mouth exhale, emptying out completely. And continue to take a few more rounds of these cleansing breaths here. So yoga means union, and it is truly the union of breath and movement. So a moving meditation, and today our focus in this class is to stay connected to our breath. So go ahead and seal your lips closed, and we're going to continue these rounds of powerful breathing throughout class, inhaling through our nose and now exhaling through our nose. But I do want you to think about making that ha sound as you exhale, even with sealed lips. On your next inhale, blink your eyes open and go ahead and bring your arms down by your side, and we're just going to windshield wiper our knees from side to side. Exhaling as the knees come to the side, inhaling through center. And then go ahead and hug your knees into your chest on an exhale since your core engages, and we'll use that core engagement. And then we're going to stir the pot. So turning some circles to the right, just massaging the low back, and then turning some circles to the left and continuing those slow, steady inhales, powerful, controlled exhales through the nose. Come back to center, tabletop your shins, bring your knees directly over your hips, and press your palms into your knees and your knees back into your palms. Notice how your core turns on here. Should be starting to feel maybe a little shaky, definitely starting to build some heat in the core. Pressing the belly button back towards the spine, keeping that low back engaged to the mat. And now go ahead and bring your hands directly over your shoulders with your thumbs facing back towards your shoulders. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, we're going to extend right arm and left leg. Come back through center. Inhale, extend the opposite arm and the opposite leg. Oops, my blocks are in the way. Exhale, center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, slowly bring it back to center. Inhale, lengthen. Just warming up our core for our practice here. Keep your shoulders, your neck relaxed. Let's do one more each side. And then go ahead and hug the knees in, and this time just rock side to side. We're going to come into a bridge pose, so bring the soles of your feet down to the mat, heels in towards your glutes. Bring your hands to your belly, take an inhale, and notice how it softens, and as you exhale, notice how it contracts. Diaphragm draws down, pelvic floor lifts, and we want to keep that engagement even as we inhale, and especially as we exhale. Reach your fingertips down towards your heels, take an inhale, and exhale, lift your hips, press into your heels, and then inhale, lower one vertebrae at a time from your shoulders all the way down to your tailbone. Exhale, bridge pose, and we're not going to lift so high that we wrench our low back. We really want to focus on the hamstrings and the glutes firing up here. Let's do two more. Exhale, lift. Squeeze your glutes, press the soles of your feet into the mat. Inhale, lower. One more. Exhale, lift. This time we're going to hold. We're going to lift our right foot, drive our right knee in towards our chest, and we're just going to pull with our palms our knee in towards our chest. Really firing up those muscles in the back of the left leg. Continuing to breathe, slow, steady breaths. And now we're going to switch it out. Bring the right foot back to the mat, press into all four corners of the right foot, draw the left knee into the chest, and bring the palms to the front of the left knee. And you're going to feel a little bit of sensation in the left hip flexor here, in the front of the left leg, and definitely in the back of the right leg. Slow your breath. When this gets challenging, check back in. Make sure that the breath hasn't gotten short and choppy. Release the left foot, slowly roll down. Hug your knees into your chest, cross your ankles. We're going to rock and roll the length of our spine 3 times, and we're going to come up into a tabletop pose. So hands over shoulders, or shoulders over palms, hips over knees, and I'm actually going to walk my palms out about a palm's print distance, and I'm going to make some hip circles. So inhale. Drop the right hip towards the right heel, circle it around towards the left. Come up towards the front. And let's do 2 more circles in this direction. Exhaling as the hips come back. And then inhaling as they come forward, almost into a cobra pose. And then stop at center, and then we're going to switch it. Hips draw towards the left heel, then to the right, and then to the right wrist, left wrist. Sure that all 10 fingers are spread nice and wide, pressing into that spot between the thumb and the forefinger. And then when you're even, come back to center. And we're going to do some knee taps. So extend your right leg straight back out of your right hip, flex the toes back towards the knee. Pull the belly button in towards the spine, and as you exhale, tap right knee to right tricep. Let's do that 2 more times. And then like you're moving through mud as you extend the leg back behind you to really engage the glute and the hamstring. And then come back to tabletop, and we'll do it on the other side. Extend the left leg, flex the toes back towards the knee, lift through the inseam of the leg. And then exhale, left knee, left tricep. Inhale, move through mud, straighten the leg back behind you. 2 more. Exhale, keep that core engaged the entire time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tap. And inhale, lengthen. Come back to that tabletop. Walk your hands out about a palm's print distance in front again. Tuck your toes, drive your hips back towards your heels, and then exhale, downward facing dog. So, spiraling the triceps back towards the toes. The head is in line with the biceps. The crown of your head is drawing down towards the mat, gazes back between the knees or up towards the belly button. And you can pedal your feet here. You can find any movement that feels good to you. You can wag your tail side to side. And then finding some stillness, keeping that length from the fingertips to the tailbone. You might need to bend your knees, and that's perfectly fine. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms against your shins. Tuck your shoulders down in their sockets, shoulder blades drawing towards your back pockets if you had them, peeking out over an imaginary cliff. Exhale, fold, and inhale, rise, mountain pose. Give your buns a squeeze, tuck your tailbone under, and maybe the palms meet overhead. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold, bend in half. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. On our exhale, plant your palms, step your right foot, then your left foot back to a high plank. Shoulders are over wrists, pressing the mat away. Pull your belly button back, in and up. Squeeze your buns, draw your tailbone back towards your heels, and press through your heels towards the wall behind you. Inhale, use your toes, shift forward, and exhale, slowly lower with control all the way down to the mat. Entire front side body arrives at the same time. Untuck your toes, inhale, cobra pose. Gaze is forward, pull your palms back, and hug your elbows in towards one another. Exhale, downward facing dog. From your knees or from your toes, press up and back. Let's flow that breath to movement. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step, hop, float, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. You can bring your fingertips to your shins, or if you can maintain that flat back, fingertips on the mat. Exhale, fold, and inhale, root through four corners of your feet, rise, Tadasana, mountain pose. Tailbone draws down, chest lifts. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, plant your palms, step your left foot, then your right. You can lower all the way to Cobra or hover in Chaturanga, elbows pull back towards your hips, 90-degree bend. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, travel, top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, rise, Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, Uttanasana, bend your knees, hinge at your hips. Backs of the hips lift up towards the ceiling as the crown of the head draws down towards the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, pull your belly button towards your spine, and exhale, step or float, Chaturanga, or Cobra, or lower to your belly. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. All right, let's move on to our Sun B. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step or float, top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, sit down into that imaginary chair pose. Draw your hips back, draw your shins back, press into all four corners of your feet, maybe lift and wiggle your toes a little bit. Find a scoop under your tailbone, notice these oblique muscles turn on, and then reach the fingertips towards the sky. Pinkies turn in towards one another, thumbs turn out, opening the upper back and the chest. One more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. You can hold the high plank. You can go directly to downward facing dog, or you can flow through a vinyasa. If you're holding the plank, continue to hold the plank. If you're going through the vinyasa, inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, and now we all meet in downward facing dog. Stay for 2 rounds of breath. And exhale, step your right foot behind your right thumb. Spin your left heel flat and come up to warrior one. Hips and shoulders square to the front of the mat. 90-degree bend in that right knee. Give a press into the pinky edge of your right foot to tug the right hip back. And exhale, palms to the mat. High plank, hold, or flow through your vinyasa. Cobra or upward facing dog is your back bend, and then we all meet in downward facing dog. Exhale, step the left foot behind the left thumb, spin the right foot flat. You can bring your hands to your hips, tug the left hip back, right hip forward, knit the front ribs in, extend the arms overhead, maybe the palms touch, and exhale, windmill the palms to the mat. High plank, hold, or vinyasa. And then we'll all meet in downward facing dog. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step, hop, float to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold, and inhale, chair pose. Sit your hips down and back even more. Bring your thumbs to your shoulders, opening up the collarbones, and then extend the arms out, shoulder height, pinkies facing in, thumbs out, and then come into your chair pose. We're gonna stay for 2 rounds of breath. And what happens in your mind when it gets challenging? Do we disconnect from the breath? Do we start to tell ourselves ugly stories? Or do we just try to remember that this is temporary, that we have all the power in the world to breathe through it? Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, high plank. Hold the plank or shift forward onto your toes. Come all the way down to your belly or hover in chaturanga. Inhale, your back bend. And exhale, plankers, and everyone else, we meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step the right foot behind the right thumb. Spin the back foot flat. Warrior one. Release. Come into high plank. Vinyasa. Back bend. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left toes behind the left thumb. Spin the right foot flat. Warrior one. Exhale, high plank. Inhale, shift forward. Vinyasa, downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold. Feet behind the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Where can you strengthen? Maybe you engage the core even more. Exhale, fold, and inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Last one of class. If that makes you smile, lift all four corners of your mouth. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, high plank. Flow through your vinyasa or hold the plank. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. And even if it doesn't make you smile, you can still lift the four corners of your mouth. Lift the right foot. Exhale, step the right foot behind the right thumb. Spin the left foot flat. Warrior one. Exhale, windmill the palms. High plank hold or flow through your vinyasa. Think about pulling the palms back towards the tops of the feet forward towards the palms, downward facing dog. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, step the left foot behind the left hand. Spin the back foot flat. Warrior one. Exhale, plant the palms. High plank. Vinyasa or hold the plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. I'm going to do a little bit of some spinal strengtheners. So inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower all the way down to your belly. We're going to start with a little shoulder opener since we've done a lot of chaturangas or planks. Bring the pinky or the fingertips to the mat, elbows bent, and inhale to this wide cobra. Loop the shoulders down and back into their sockets. And on an exhale, we're going to dip the right shoulder to the mat. Inhale back through center, and exhale, dip the left shoulder to the mat. Inhale, center, and then exhale, slowly lower. And then we're going to come into Locust Pose, zip the legs up, but I like to let my outer hips, my outer thighs fall down towards the mat. Interlace your hands behind your back. Take an inhale, exhale, pull your belly button back towards your spine. And inhale, lift your shoulders as you pull your knuckles back towards your heels. You can stay here, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat, or if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, you can lift your feet. Squeeze your buns, lengthen your tailbone towards your heels and your chest towards the wall in front of you. Maybe lift a little bit higher, keep that core engaged, belly button pulling back, and then slowly lower down. You could bring an ear to the mat and just notice your heart beating. Thank your body for all that it does for you. And then come back to center and we're going to do one more, superheroes. So your feet can be hip-width distance apart. We're going to extend our arms out long in front of us, and you can continue pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. Pull your belly button back towards your spine and pull your elbows in to the side body. Inhale, exhale, pull it back and lift. Inhale to lower and exhale to lift and pull back. We're going to do two more. Inhale, lower, keep your belly button pulled back towards your spine the entire time. Exhale, pull it back. Inhale to find length, and exhale, pull it back. Inhale, lower. Bring the other ear to the mat. Feel your beating heart. You can take an inhale through the nose and an open mouth exhale. And then seal your lips closed. Tuck your toes. Bring your palms underneath your shoulders, gaze forward, and on an exhale breath, we're going to press up to downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step or float, top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen your chest forward, hips draw back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, rise, Tadasana, mountain pose. We're going to come into tree. Bring your palms to your heart center and strengthen this right leg. Lift the shin, lift the quad, lift the kneecap. Find your focus point. And then you're going to bring the sole of the left foot to the inside of the right leg. And press the sole of the foot into the leg, inner leg into the foot. Draw the tailbone down and draw the left knee back. If you'd like to grow your tree, go ahead and grow your tree. And for an added balance challenge, you can gaze up. If you're super brave and spicy, you can close your eyes. And then just breathe. Connect back to the breath. Lift the four corners of your mouth. And then bring your hands back to heart center. And we're going to step back into a warrior two. So a controlled step back, heel to arch alignment. First time in warrior two, press through the pinky edge of the right foot to peel the knee open. You can bring your hands to your low back and your low abs. Tuck the tailbone under, engage the core, lift up and out of your hips. Straighten the front leg, preparing for triangle. And exhale, Trikonasana, triangle pose. Bring that right hand either to the inside of the right foot, or if you have a block handy, go ahead and grab that block. You can bring it to the outside of the right foot. And then I want you to think about the tailbone drawing down towards the back heel, the right ribs spiraling under, the chest lifting up towards the ceiling. Just feeling this awesome opener in the low back and the hips. If you'd like to stay here in triangle, you can. If half moon is in your practice, bend into that right knee. Take your block about 6 inches out from that right pinky finger, and then spring up onto the right foot, and then stacking the left hand over the right, lifting the left leg in line with the hip. Squeezing that outer left glute to lift the leg. One more inhale, and then exhale back to warrior two. Inhale, peaceful warrior, and exhale, windmill the palms down to the mat. We're going to flow through one final vinyasa here. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Gaze forward, step or float into that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and inhale, rise, Tadasana, mountain pose, hands to heart center. All right, let's engage the left leg. Imagine you're growing those roots through all four corners of the mat. If you could lift the skin on your shins, it would lift. You're squeezing your quadricep to lift your kneecap. And then we're going to bring the sole of the right foot above or below the left knee. So tailbone tucks down, that creates this external rotation in the right hip. The knee pulls back, so really nice hip opener here. Palms to heart center, or you can grow your tree. Gaze up for that balance challenge. Smile. Play around with closing your eyes if you want to. If you fall, you fall. It's okay. It's not a big deal. We just get right back up, right? Continue drawing the tailbone down, low abs scoop up and in, and then palms to heart center. And we're going to take a step back to warrior two, preparing for triangle. Straighten the front left leg, hinge at the hips, lengthen forward, and then grab that block. Oops, I should have should have put it a little bit closer. And then I like to bring the block to the outside of my leg, plant my palm on the block, pull that top shoulder back, and then extend those fingertips towards the ceiling. So think about those bottom left ribs are coming under, the top right ribs are spiraling back, and the chest eventually is up towards the ceiling. Drop your shoulders down and back into their sockets, and you can stay here in triangle, or if you'd like to come into half moon, go ahead and bend into that left knee. We're gonna bring the block in the hand out about 6 inches from that left foot. Make sure all 5 left toes are facing forward, and then we're gonna come up. And it's the same, like spiraling the chest up towards the ceiling. The right ribs spiral back, the left ribs spiral under. And then really using the core and this outer right hip to lift that foot. And then imagine that your back was up against a wall, right? That's the goal, doesn't necessarily happen all of the time. One more inhale. And then exhale, everyone back to warrior 2. Inhale, peaceful warrior. And exhale, windmill the palms down to the mat. And then this time we're just gonna come back into a downward facing dog. Unless you needed absolutely one more vinyasa, then you could take that vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, lift your right leg up and back. And exhale, half pigeon. So bringing the right knee behind the right wrist. I like a very generous bend in my knee. If I try to force my shin parallel to the mat, then I twist over towards the left. And that's not what I'm going for. I want my hips and my shoulders squared to the front of the mat. And then you're gonna come down onto your forearms or come down onto your belly, but continue tugging that right hip back. And think about isometrically pulling the left hip forward towards the right heel. Wow, that was a loud one. Relax your shoulders down and back away from your ears. And we're going to be here for 3 slow, steady rounds of breath. And maybe with each breath, you find a little bit more softness. Maybe you notice that your belly can come down a little bit closer towards the mat. Make sure you're maintaining equal space between the right hip and the left hip and the mat. So we don't want to dump down or fall down onto one side. And then go ahead and walk back up. Tuck the back toes. Slowly come up to a 3-legged dog. Go ahead and bend the knee into a scorpion tail. You can draw circles with the right ankle. You can look up underneath the right shoulder. And then come back to downward facing dog. Lift the left leg, and on an exhale, preparing for sleeping pigeon. So maintaining that space between the hips and the mat. It's always an option to bring a block underneath that left hip. And then lengthening your chest forward, tugging that left hip back, tugging the right hip forward, and then settling into that sleeping pigeon. Slow, steady breathing. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the neck. And when you feel even, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, tuck your right toes, lift your left leg, open up into that scorpion dog, turning circles with the knee, the hip, or the ankle, coming into our final downward facing dog, and then walking ourselves through and making our way down onto our back for any last postures that your body needs, or joining me in Shavasana.